And joining us is Clare Maloney from New York.
Hello.
Clare, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David. This is awesome.
Yeah, whereabouts in New York are you?
We're in Westchester County, so we're right up against the Connecticut border there.
Neighbors.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, and you're coming to our part of I-95, coming to Bridgeport on Thursday, May 4th.
That is correct. May the fourth be with you. We're looking forward to
Yes,
it.
yes. Or if you're a McCoy Tyner fan, may the fourths be with you.
Ah, there you go.
Yes. So this is with Clare Maloney and the Great Adventure.
It is all true. It's true.
How great has the adventure been so far?
It's pretty great. It's pretty great. All things included, I think the word great is kind of an umbrella for all the ups and downs, but we're trying to stay positive.
So this is a band that kind of came out of the lockdown a couple of years ago.
Yes,
What
indeed.
was the genesis of the Great Adventure?
So when the lockdown started, my music partner Nate and I, we were, locked down in our apartment in New York, and we decided to do a live stream the first Monday of lockdown, which was like March 22nd, I think. And we put it out to all our family and friends, and a lot of folks tuned in, and we decided to do another one the following Monday. We didn't, that was still at the point of like 2 weeks to stop the spread. So we
Yeah,
kind of didn't know what we were getting into,
flatten the
but
curve.
exactly. So we ended up doing a live stream every Monday night for 4 months for 16 weeks. And during that time, it got picked up by a lot of different music venues around the country who were sharing the stream, and a lot of folks were tuning in from all over the world. And at the time, Nate and I were just playing two acoustic guitars. We actually didn't have any original music at the time yet. Nothing was written yet, but I've been working as a session singer and a touring singer for the last decade, doing all kinds of music from like Motown and R&B to jam band to rock and even jazz and opera. So we kind of did like a grab bag stream, like a playlist kind of feel, where we would do maybe like a Michael Jackson tune and then a Grateful Dead tune and then maybe like, a Great American Songbook tune.
Mhm.
Um, and the response that we got from people was really inspiring. And Nate and I hadn't really played together that much before the lockdown. He was a full-time sound engineer. So we decided, hey, let's keep this thing going. And when things started to open up, people were calling us to play in their driveways and backyards, with people sitting 10 feet apart and everything. And I decided that during that time in lockdown that I really wanted to try and work out the final kinks of writer's block that I had had for a good 10 years at that point. And I sort of said to myself, if I don't use this lockdown time to really write, I'm going to regret it, because I've been working as a full-time musician, and we really didn't have a lot of work for a good solid 2 years there. So I used that time in 2021 specifically to do a lot of writing. And we put a band together and started playing the songs, and now we're touring. So we're doing it.
That is an awesome story. So you mentioned opera. Is that your training originally?
Yeah. So I actually went to college for classical voice. I have my degree, my bachelor's in opera performance, and I ended up working as a classical singer for many years. Especially in New York City, I did a lot of work as a choral singer. So would do like, specifically oratorio, kind of music of the Renaissance and Baroque period was my niche, and then contemporary music. So I ended up doing quite a few performances at Carnegie Hall and at Lincoln Center. And I ended up doing young artist programs singing in Europe. So I spent a few summers in Europe. And yeah, it was really cool. I'm still through and through a classical music nerd, but the more I did it, it just never really felt like the exact right home for me. So I kind of was always wandering on the path trying to find the right musical home. And I definitely feel like with the great adventure that we're doing now, being able to do a wide variety of music, our even our originals span everything from like jam band, punk rock to Great American Songbook. It kind of feels like it's allowing me to use all the tools I picked up along the way.
Yeah, it's definitely the songs on the album are Daybreaker are definitely a lot of them are kind of hard driving rock songs, a little more concise, but I imagine they can expand when you're on stage.
Yeah, and everyone in the band, everyone who plays in the Great Adventure, we actually all met through the Grateful Dead community, through the jam band world, and many of us, almost all of us met at Garcia's at the Capitol Theater playing with different Grateful Dead bands.
Mhm.
So we all come from a jam band, history. So our live show tends to really stretch out on things like that, and everyone sort of passes the microphone. Even actually, everybody in the band sings, and things do tend to stretch out and get experimental, and we sort of let the adventure go where it wants to go.
Yeah, listening to it, I started thinking I'm hearing some Jefferson Airplane in there with, powerhouse vocals and multiple singers with, the hard rock and rhythm section. And then looking at your bio, it was not my imagination.
I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot. Yeah. The Airplane have been so influential to me, especially in the last few years. Right before the pandemic, it was the 50th anniversary of Woodstock in 2019. And I got called in as a singer to do a few Woodstock 50th anniversary shows where I ended up singing, a lot of Grace Slick's songs. And then I ended up putting together a Women of Woodstock show that summer, August of 2019. And I did music by her, by Janis Joplin, Melanie, who performed at Woodstock. Um, and in the last few years, I've been touring with the Airplane family, which includes original members of Starship, most notably Peter Kalkinen, who's Yorma's brother, who played, he was actually supposed to be the bass player for Jefferson Airplane. But his father told him that he had to go to college. And so he missed the boat on that one, but he ended up playing with Starship for many years. And Slick Aguilar, who played guitar in Starship, in the 80s and 90s, and
Mhm.
Prairie Prince, who also played drums with them. So that's been really cool for me to get to experience that music with them. And I definitely approached the music sort of like a method actor would. I really went down the rabbit hole, pun intended, and studied Grace Slick. I read her book and I watched tons of interviews with her. And it was never my intention to mimic her, only because I don't think I can do that. But I really wanted to embody her spirit. And that certainly, I'm sure, comes through in a lot of our original material as well.
How about on the other side of it, influence of the Great American Songbook?
Yeah, there's a tune on the track called Song to the Moon, which is the last song on the track on the CD. And that is definitely a Great American Songbook inspired tune. It was the last song I wrote for the record, and it came together the very last minute. We had 8 songs recorded, and I was like, I really wanted this to be a 9-song album. And I was like, if this song doesn't come together by the time recording is over, it doesn't. But our drummer, Caleb Esty, he had suggested to me that I try to write an opera aria for the album. And I was like, well, that's a really tall order. I don't know if I can do that, with 1 month to go. Um, but what ended up coming out instead was this song called Song to the Moon. And even the chord changes, it really feels like something that would have come out of Tin Pan Alley, in the 1940s.
Yeah,
Um,
we're speaking with Clare Maloney and talking about music and Clare Maloney and the Great Adventure will be at Park City Music Hall on May 4th. That's a Thursday. And is this your first time playing in Bridgeport?
it's not actually. We love Bridgeport. We played at Park City once previously. We opened for Dawn of the Buffalo last year. So this is our first headline show at Park City. And we've gotten to know the great staff and the crew there. And I've had the pleasure of getting to sit in for a few different shows there. Most recently, I sang on a Jeff Beck tribute that happened there a few weeks ago, and I've done some Grateful Dead shows there, singing Grateful Dead tunes with the folks there. So we love Park City, and we're really happy and excited for the show.
Yeah, I think if I remember, Tim Palmieri was playing on that Jeff Beck show.
He was, and Darian Cunning,
Yes.
Darian and I did the Eva Cassidy version of People Get Ready, which is based on the Rod Stewart, Jeff Beck version. So that
Yeah.
was really special.
Yeah, that is amazing. You've had some good support spots at the Capitol too, I think.
We have, yeah, we've been very fortunate to kind of come up in the scene. We've played a few pre-shows before Phil Lesh and Friends. So we did a couple this past March on his birthday run, and we opened or did the pre-show for Twiddle last year, and also Phil and Friends, I think back in 2021. So it's been cool. Actually, that's another thing I didn't mention. After we did the live stream series, when things did start to open back up, we ended up being the house band at the Capitol Theater during that awkward period when music still had to be quote unquote incidental, and they weren't allowed to really sell tickets or open the theater. They ended up setting up on Westchester Avenue out under the marquee at the Capitol Theater. They would have live music on Saturdays and Sundays, and we set up as a band there for like 13 weekends. We did music under the marquee at the Capitol. So they've definitely been like a second home to us in the last few years.
Nice. So the album is called Daybreaker. When was it released?
It was released December of 2022.
And where can people find it, and where can people find you online?
They can find the music on any streaming site. That's Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, Tidal, under Clare Maloney and the Great Adventure. And you can find us at claremaloney.com. That's our tour schedule and videos, and you can stream the music from that website. Or on social media, you can find us under the handle Clare Maloney Music. And again, the name of the band is Clare Maloney and the Great Adventure.
And we actually have a pair of tickets to give away, but don't call until the music starts at the end of this interview. I'll give out the number then, I promise. And if you're watching this on YouTube, sorry, that ship has sailed. This is for
Wah
the
wah.
live radio audience only. But it's confusing doing video and doing radio and having them sort of asynchronous, but I am getting used to it. So tell me about the touring band. Do you tour with the same lineup consistently, or do you have different members depending on availability?
At this time, we actually do have a set group. So we've been playing as four musicians. Although up in for the last year or so, we sort of had a rotating cast of adventurers, as we like to put it. But the core group right now is myself. I play guitar and bass. Nate DeBrine, who plays guitar, and he also co-produced Daybreaker with me. We've got Caleb Esty on drums, who's played with Steve Forbert for a number of years, Deadgrass, and also Russ Gottlieb, who plays both electric bass and electric banjo in the band. And folks might know him also from Deadgrass and the Brummy Brothers.
So you've got some pretty accomplished folks with you.
Yeah, it's a really great group, and I'm really happy that everyone's come together to put this tour together, and we're going to be on the road for most of the summer.
That's pretty exciting. So we've been speaking with Clare Maloney, talking about Clare Maloney and the Great Adventure. You can catch them at Park City Music Hall this Thursday, May 4th. And I think we want to close out with a song. What do you recommend?
Well, I think it would be fun to play Never Done That Before.
All
And
right.
actually, for folks who can come out this week, we do have a really fun set of surprises in store for this tune in particular. You know, if you hear it now and you like it, come on out and check it out on Thursday. We're really looking forward to having some very special guests join us for this one.
All right. Well, Claire, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, David. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.